This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good Erev Shabbos Rabbi, as we prepare for Parshas, Vayigash, and we have some very exciting news. Aside from the weekly Ben La'ashri Parsha Divrei Torah Parsha sheet, which, by the way, is available on the website for download. This week's may not be there yet, but in general it will be available on the website rabbidg.com. It's available for free. It's also, if anybody wants to have the email, wants it emailed to them, please send us your email address. It will be emailed to you. You could send that to office@rabbidg.com. We are starting this week, besides the Hebrew Parsha sheet, there's going to be an English Parsha sheet as well, on Divrei Torah on the Parsha. 3 Divrei Torah on the Parsha, one for each Suda. I want to thank my good friend Rav Mordechai Levitan for working on that. And it's going to be based on the Shiurim that we've given, like small Divrei Torah, and we'll say how to find it on TorahAnytime as well. I want to remind everyone that the Shiurim are available on podcast and Shas Illuminated, and of course, TorahAnytime.com. We begin this week the first Dvar Torah on the Ben La'ashri, and I also want to share that Emertz Hashem Sunday night is the yard side of Hagoyin Rabbi Yitzchak HaKohen Huberman. It's his yard side. So actually, Sunday night we're going to have a Yoma de Hilula. So it might be streaming live and on Zoom, so we'll keep you posted about that. We actually prepared a separate sheet, not only for Vayechi, but just for his yard site Sunday night. So stay tuned. We like to keep everyone busy. It keeps us all out of trouble, you know? Okay, so the first Dvar Torah we mentioned in the Wednesday night Shiur, so I'm going to just mention it very briefly, and that is that Vayigash Elav Yehuda Vayomer Bi Adoni. We know that Yosef, when he was Mekadesh Hashem's name by overcoming the Nisayon of Eshes Potifera, the letter Hey was added to his name, and he became Yud, Hey, and then Vav. But he was missing the final Hey. He still doesn't have the final Hey. And the final Hey represents the Midah of Malchus. Like Rabbi Yaakov told us on Wednesday in the Sidurim of the Sfardim, in the letter Hey we have Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud. So Yosef had 3 letters, but he's missing Malchus. So Yehuda says, excuse me, Yosef, Bi Adoini. The Midah of Malchus is in me because I'm Yud, Hey, and Vav, and a Hey. And moreover, we know the brothers had a machlokes with Yosef in halacha regarding whether they were full-fledged Jews, even Lakula, and it was Yosef's opinion that no, they were only Jews L'chumra, but not Lakula. And Yosef maintained the halacha was like him, because he was a melech, and Yehuda was saying, excuse me, I'm the real melech, I have the final Hey of God's name. Okay. We now move into a more historical piece from the Tzaddik Ranana. And he says a Drush Noah, Vayomer Yosef el Echav ani Yosef ha'oid avichai. Yosef said to his brothers, I'm Yosef, is dad still alive? So this actually comes from a much longer piece, and I took out this because to me it was interesting historically. Yodua b'todos yimei b'nei Yisrael b'Russia ha'isa gezeras ha'kantonistin. We know in Russian history there was one of the most brutal decrees on the Jewish people were the Cantonists. They would steal Jewish children from their parents, and they would put them in the Russian army until they were 21 years old. And then, they would bring them to a place until they reached the age of 21, and then they had to serve in the army for 25 years. So imagine taking a little child, taking him away from his parents until he's age 21, and basically he would have to serve in the army until he was 46 years old. You could just imagine that there would be no remnant of Judaism left in these children by the time they finished their army service. And then they had to work in the army. They knew nothing of Judaism. One time, a father who was a chassid of a particular Rav, Rabbi Yisrael Rajin, they kidnapped his kid. And he came before the Rajinar, and he came with great bitterness. He says, I wish my son would die. At least I know he would be buried as a Jew. And the Regina Rav said, this is what David HaMelech meant. Hayesupar ba'kever chastecha. How could it be that a father could say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribbon Shem, do a chesed to me, that my son should die? How could it be? Hayesupar ba'kever chastecha. How could it be that a father asked God for the mercy to bury his son? Aval emunascha ba'avadoin. The pasuk continues, your emunah is being destroyed, meaning, if you feel that the person's emunah would be lost, then their death is a chesed. Zoi soimeres l'tzadikim ein abanim mishamshim el avodas haborei. For tzaddikim, the value of their children is if they serve the Rebbeinu Shalom. Otherwise, mutav lehem sheyamusu. As we heard, many parents sat shiva when their children were taken away to the Cantonus. Well, says the Tzaddik of Ranana, based on the following, we could explain the psukim. Yosef HaTzadik knew all the above, and he was afraid that the brothers are going to go to the Tata, and they're going to say, oh, Oid Yosef Chai, v'chihu Moshe b'chol aretz Mitzrayim. Yaakov's going to think, my son Yosef, I haven't seen him in 22 years. He's the king of Egypt. Yaakov's going to think, can you imagine? He probably forgot about Torah, he probably forgot about Judaism. Because the Mitzrayim were known throughout the world for their despicable actions and their lewd behavior. And if they found Yosef to be worthy to be their king, he must be the worst of them all. Yaakov probably thought to himself, why do I need a kid like this? And this is what the pasuk means, Vayafag libai. When Yaakov heard Yosef was alive, his heart skipped a beat. You know what Yaakov was doing? He was removing the love of Yosef from his heart. When he heard that Yosef was the king of Egypt, Vayafeg libai, Yaakov tore out of his heart his love for Yosef. And therefore Yosef sends three messages to Yaakov to assuage his worry. Number one, Ani Yosef. Meaning, hey Dad, Paro gave me a really nifty name, a really catchy name, Shem Mitzaltzel, Safnas Paneach, what a cool Egyptian name. Who would not be proud and honored by such a name? But I don't use that name even for a second. Am Vayetze Yosef al Eretz Mitzrayim, Yosef, Paro calls him Safnas Paneach, but Yosef goes out on Eretz Mitzrayim. Number two, Ha'oid. You could break it up into two words. Hey oid, I am Yosef. And more than that, not only am I Ani Yosef, ha'oid. Oid hey, I have an additional hey. God gave me an extra hey. You hear the beautiful remez. Ani Yosef, hey oid, plus I have an extra hey. V'oid Yosef le'akadosh baruch hey mishmai hakadosh Yosef kanal be'gemara. And number three, Avichai. Here's another thing. How did David HaMelech live 70 years? Why did David HaMelech live 70 years? So some say that he lived 70 years because Adam HaRishon gave him 70 years. But the Zohar says something different. The Zohar says that Avram was supposed to live 180 years. Avram gave 5 years to David. Yaakov was supposed to live 175 years. He gave 28 years to David. And Yosef was supposed to live 147 years. Instead, he lived 110. He gave 37 to David. That's a total of 70. Says Rabbi Yitzchak HaKohen Huberman. He says, me and you, and Avichai, me and you, we both have to give time to David HaMelech. Let's see if we find this. No. Avichai, who you there? We both have to give 70 years to David. If I am the Yosef that you suspect me of, I would not be kosher to give years to David. You would have to give all the years. And if you would give all the years, you wouldn't be alive anymore. So Avichai, my father is still alive. So if you're still alive, that means I'm a tzaddik because I was able to give some of the years to David. You didn't have to give all the years. So if you're still alive, that means I'm a tzaddik. So the three rayas are, number one, Ani Yosef. I'm not using the name Safnas Paneach. Number two, Ha'oid, God gave me an extra hay. And number three, I was able to give years to King David. Now, Vihine einechem royos ki pi medaber aleichem, behold my eyes see, that your eyes see that my mouth is speaking to you. Rashi says, look, I'll prove I'm Yosef. I'm speaking to you in Lashon HaKodesh. So the Sfarim ask, Eich shayach loymar al hakoil einechem haroyos. Haya loy loymar az nechem shoymos. What in the world is Yosef saying? Your eyes see I'm speaking in Lashon HaKodesh. It should say your ears hear that I'm speaking in Lashon HaKodesh. So, for the first time, we are featuring on the Ben La'ashri Parsha sheet footnotes. So, we could possibly answer this question of the Ben La'ashri by saying as follows. I thought to answer as follows. If you look in the Ibn Ezra on the pasuk, Vayar Yaakov ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. Yaakov saw there was hope in Mitzrayim. Rashi's bothered, and the Ibn Ezra's bothered. What do you mean Yaakov saw? It should say Yaakov heard. So the Ibn Ezra says a very interesting principle, that from here we learn all of the senses are connected. They could be interchanged, like Re'ei Reach B'ni, see the smell, my son. What do you mean see the smell? It should say smell the smell. Or the light is sweet. What do you mean the light is sweet? Sweet is taste, light is seen. Or Vayar Yaakov ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. And the Gilyonei Hashas brings further instances. It says that the Kinneret is called Kinneret because its waters are sweet like a harp, like a kinar. What do you mean? A harp is a sound. Sweetness is a taste. So from here we see that the senses are interchangeable. By the way, the senses are interchangeable. By the way, we know that to be true. If you can't see food, it doesn't taste the same way. Part of taste is enhanced by sight. Okay, when you can't smell, you can't taste. So even physiologically, they're connected. However, the Ben Lashri says as follows. He says Rashi answers this question because Rashi says as follows. Rashi divides the pasuk into three parts. On the pasuk, your eyes see my honor, and the eyes of my brother Binyamin, Rashi says, just like in my heart, I have no tightness against him, because he didn't sell me, so too I have no tightness against you. Ki pia medaber aleichem, that my mouth speaks to you, perish b'lashon HaKodesh. So in other words, einechem royos, Ki pia medaber aleichem, einechem arois is going on al ki pi hamedaber. Meaning, what do you see? You see my honor. The eyes of my brother Binyamin, just like I have no tightness on you, so on Binyamin I have no tightness on you. My mouth speaks to you, I'm speaking to you in Lashon HaKodesh. But einechem haroyos is not going on that. But we could say as follows. Yosef HaTzadik drew such kedusha on his words, like it says by Kabbalas HaTorah, V'chol ha'am royim es hakolos. We know by Kabbalas Torah everybody saw the sounds because we were able to see the words. Such Kedusha can only reside on a tzaddik yesod olam like Yosef. Yosef says, Einechem royos, you see my words. If you see my words, then I'm on the gather of Kedusha of Kabbalas HaTorah. Obviously, I maintain my Kedusha even here in this foreign land. Next piece. Ki pi ha'medaber perish Rashi b'lashon HaKodesh. The Kos of Haramban. Right, Yosef's trying to prove it's me, Joseph, your brother, because I speak Hebrew. The Ramban says, what's the raya? Many kings knew many languages. Says the Ben La'ashri, I already mentioned earlier, and it's brought in Rashi, Paroi didn't know Lashon HaKodesh. He knew the other 70 languages. The way the Ben La'ashri explained it is, he knew Ivris, he didn't know Lashon HaKodesh. How could Paroi not know Lashon HaKodesh? How could Yosef not know? Menashe, the interpreter, spoke with them either Ivris or Canaanis, but not Lashon HaKodesh. Now Yosef is not speaking with them Ivris or Canaanis. He's speaking with them Lashon HaKodesh. The difference is Lashon HaKodesh has in it remizos, secrets, soidos, rashi tevos, soifei tevos, atbash, gematria. Ivris, there's no gematria. There's no rashi tevos. There's no soifei tevos. Yosef is saying that my language, the language I'm using, is on a completely different madrega than Yosef knew Ivris. He knew the language of the Hebrews, but now he's speaking the holy tongue, Lashon HaKodesh. Okay, now, Vayomer Elokim li Yisrael b'maros halayla. Vayomer Yaakov, Yaakov. God spoke to Israel in the vision of night, and He said, Yaakov, Yaakov. By the way, the gematria of Yaakov is 182. The gematria of Yaakov is 182. 182 plus 182 is 364. In between these two words is a psik. That refers to Tisha B'Av. But you're left with another 6 hours, and those are the 6 hours of Nitol, some suggest. Okay. Why does the beginning of the pasuk begin? Vayomer Elokim li Yisrael b'maros halayla. Vayomer Yaakov, Yaakov. Should say Vayomer Elokim li Yisrael b'maros halayla. Yisrael, Yisrael. So the Tzaddik Ranan explains as follows. We know that the intense bondage was 86 years from the time that Miriam was born. And for this reason, she's called Miriam, a lashon of Meriros. Peivav is gematria Elokim. By the way, maybe we could say that there's a tefillah called Baruch She'amar. You ever hear of such a tefillah? It's probably worthwhile to study. How many words are in Baruch She'amar? No? 87. Hamahula befe amoy. And even if you say befi amoy, it's still okay because it still has 87 words. And we know Baruch She'amar is the beginning of Psukei de Zimra. And what is Psukei de Zimra? Cutting down the dinim. Din is 86, so we have to have 87 words. Now we understand why we have 87 words. Okay. It says in the Safra Tzniusa, Yaakov Avinu, let me just get the original Sefer because there might be a mistake here. This is from page Taf Reish Lamed Beis. No, he's right. The Nigzar L'chol Hagoliyos Besoid Dalid Pa'amim Elokim Haksuvim Sham. That Yaakov. What's the gematria of Yaakov? 182. So Yaakov is 364. How many years were we supposed to be in Mitzrayim? 430. How many years did we actually serve? 86. So that means we missed out on 344. the gematria of Yaakov. The only thing is, Yaakov is gematria 364. The Safra D'Tzniusa says in Parshas B'Shalach that all the Golios are 4 times Elikim that are mentioned in the Pasuk. That after we fix 4 times Elikim, and all the dinim are sweetened at their root through Bina, and that's a concept that you should be familiar with from the Talmud Devarim, that Bina, which is tshuva, sweetens dinim on their root. Like it says, Vashemu ubeis dinai. Then the Rachame Havaya are Nisoirer. And it says, V'yikuyam v'yavar malko meshech leveim v'Hashem b'rosham. Therefore, Yaakov is gematria 4 times Elikim. Now, I was wondering about this, because it's only off by 20. Yaakov is 364. 182 plus 182. And 4 times Elikim is 344. So I happened to see a piece in a few pages later where Agavorcha explains that Elikim times 4 is 344 plus the 20 letters of the 4 Elikims gets you to Yaakov. And we have in this footnote over here. Yaakov equals 364, and 4 times Elikim is 344. And the Tzaddik explains, in minyan ha'oisios of the 5 letters of Elikim times 4. So, Yaakov is gematria the Golos. If God promised him he would bring him and his children up. Gam ola l'madrega al yoyna b'schus anoichi, in the schus of the Torah. So it means like this. Vayomer Elikim Yisrael b'marois halayla. God said to Israel, and he said, Yaakov, you're going to be in Golos 364. That's the 4 Elikims. And in the merit of Anoichi, in the merit of the Torah, you will be redeemed from the Golos. Rabbi, so we continue with an amazing pshat of the Tzaddik of Ranana on this week's Haftarah. V'yeshvu ala aretz asher nasati la'avdi liYaakov. Mashiach will come and you will live in the land that I gave to my servant Yaakov. Rashi says, my servant Yaakov. Why the land that I gave to Yaakov? Because the land that I gave to Yaakov is Nachala B'li Mitzarim, an inheritance without borders. Ufaratzta Yamav Akemat Safain of Enigma. Why does Rashi have to say that the land of Yaakov is special? Because it's a Nachala B'li Mitzarim. Friends, we all believe in the resurrection of the dead. We all believe in Tchias HaMesim. Now, I know you've been to Israel, but if you ever went to Har HaZeisim and Har Menuchais and Beit Shemesh, you're scratching your head. They could barely house everyone today in Eretz Yisrael. When everybody wakes up, where in the world are they going to live? And the answer is, when Eretz Yisrael when Mashiach comes, God's going to give us the inheritance of Yaakov. Nachala B'li Mitzarim. When the Doiros get up, the Eretz Yisrael will be too small. The answer is, we're going to get Nachalas Yaakov B'li Mitzarim, because Eretz Yisrael is going to be Mispashet B'chol Ha'olam Kulai. Eretz Yisrael will occupy the whole world. That's why the Navi says in the future, God will give us the inheritance of Yaakov. In Eretz Yisrael will be Mispashet, and there'll be room for everyone. Plenty of room for everyone. Plenty of room for you. Says the Ben La'ashri, the Tzaddik of Ranana, whose yard site is Yud Gimel Teves, coming up Sunday evening. Stay tuned for that. Wishing everyone easy rest of the fast. Tzaim Kal. And we'll see everyone Be'ezus Hashem very soon. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Shabbos, Rabbi, just one comment.
Sure.
Time of Mashiach in Israel.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.